So. Hi everyone, I just learned how to put a Zoom on a Facebook Live.
It's
I'm
uploading.
waiting for that to happen, and we'll be right with you in a second. And of course, it's taking forever to load.
Oh my God. Hold on.
Let's see if I can mute everybody. Make sure you guys mute each other, mute yourselves. Okay, why is it not working?
Refresh.
John Logan.
There we go. Preview.
Can you close my door?
Distillery Dreaming Zoom Call number. Okay. It's going live into the distillery.
John Logan. Luke, don't say that anymore.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to try and mute. Is there a way to just mute everybody? Mute.
Audio settings.
Oh. It doesn't talk. Okay. If you can, mute yourselves. I will do my best to Weird. Okay. We've got Taylor and Colin, Annie and Chris, Lucas and Frankie, and I think that was it, right?
That's it.
Okay. Okay. So let's see. Speaker view. No. Okay. We're gonna do the grid view. Okay, this is being recorded. I'm gonna do the replay on YouTube so our deaf members can have closed captioning. Again, if you pop on, please mute yourselves. So we're doing this series of calls, Zoom calls in the distillery with our Diamond team, and eventually we'll do it with other groups of leaders that we have. But we wanted to just really start utilizing the knowledge that we have in all of our amazing team leaders. So one of the things that is a question that comes up a lot is, how do you get your husbands involved, or how do you get a guy involved in the business? Because this business is so female focused, right? Like probably 98% of the people on the team are women. Although now we have spouses, so maybe it's less than that. But we're going to share first from the female side, from the wife's side, of like what we did and wish that we would have done differently. So Annie, you want to start with what you wish you would have, mid-chew, sorry. Frankie or Taylor?
Frankie's ready.
Frankie's ready. She's ready.
Hello. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, hope you guys had fun on your cruise. So I think for us, I started my business when, I'm trying to switch the view so I can like look at all of you because it's super weird. Okay. So I started our business when he was actually deployed. And so that was kind of an interesting, my husband's active duty military. And we have a daughter she has a genetic lung disease. And so our story is a little different than most, but he went away and I was up at like 3 a.m. one morning working, and he was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you still up? He didn't really understand what I was doing, and it wasn't his fault. I think it was just, he wasn't home. He never even saw our kid. Actually, he came home and I had a paycheck. And so I think like looking back, I wish that I involved him more, kind of told you, I guess, what I was doing. I don't know. But also I think I expected you as soon as you came home to like help me and to understand too. So I think you and I had like kind of a misunderstanding at first. Like he came home and I was like always on my phone and like trying to hustle and working and do all these things, and he was like, I have no idea what you're doing, what you're talking about, what oils are. And I think I had very high expectations of you. And then I also wish, like looking back, that instead of expecting him to like jump right in head first and help me with classes and events and everything, that I played to his strengths. So he's a very organized human. I am not. And so I wish, instead of hoping he could like help me do all the things I was doing, I wish I played strengths more with you, like have him organize things and be the brain, I guess, behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Taylor, how was your experience? What was yours?
So a little bit like what Frankie said too, like in the beginning, I was definitely glued to my phone a lot, and I don't think he understood. I mean, I don't even think I really understood what I was doing. To be honest, it was just kind of like, all right, here's this business and we'll try it out. So I think like me being glued to my phone a lot, I'm kind of the person that's like, no, I can handle it. I can do all the things and I don't need help with anything, but really I want you to help. So I think if me just like being a little more open and like showing like, hey, like this is what I'm doing on my phone. Like this is what an online class is. This is why the phone is like this 24/7. It's not just me like surfing Facebook, because I feel like a lot of times I hear people saying like their spouse will come by and they'll see their phone open or they'll see the computer and they see Facebook up and they're like, well, you're just sitting on Facebook all day long. Like, how are you building a business? And, a lot of our businesses run through social media, different platforms, whether it be Facebook or Instagram. So I think like in the beginning, like I remember like distinct like arguments that we would have because it would the whole like, oh, you're just on Facebook. And he didn't know any different, but it was me just not being completely like open and like telling him like exactly what we were doing. But again, like I don't really think I knew what I was really doing. But he was so good, like would come home and like kind of just like take over the stuff that I was doing all day long. Like I was getting burnt out, but after trying to do it during the day, all day with the kids, he would come home and like do the things that, pick up where I needed to just go and teach classes or, work without, kids weighing me down. But that was like, I definitely would have been more open in the beginning.
You guys put the oven on?
Annie, what about you?
I think one thing that is really commonly missed with spouses and with ourselves is understanding residual income. So I think so often like we start these businesses and we don't really know where they're going. We're just like, oh yeah, I want to make a couple $100 or be executive or be whatever. But I think that if I had truly understood and if I could have showed Chris earlier on the residual income piece, like we were just talking about in our business group the other day, like the video from 12 Days of Diamond that Ryan Hayes did all about that. Like, I think that helps spouses grab onto the vision so much quicker when they really truly understand the income potential and the like the financial piece of it. And I think just we as women too don't always grasp that until a little bit later on. So I kind of wish I had taken more time with both of us for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of had the same situation. I was building the business and he was like, yeah, you go girl, you do it. But then I was like in my office, like on my phone, every spare moment I could find. And he'd be like, you're going on the computer again? And I'd be like, yeah, dude, like you want me to build this? I'm going on my computer again. And then I would like forecast, okay, if I kept growing at this pace, the next month we do this amount and that would probably equal this much income. And I do it out like a year. And then I'd talk to him about it and he'd be like, yeah, right. Be like, no, like really, it's true. So I totally agree. Like, thankfully we have that Ryan Hayes video that really breaks down everything and how amazing this business opportunity is. But I wish that I would have involved him right from the start. I felt like I did the business. He was involved in a lot of the conversations that I had about what I was doing, what was happening. But I wasn't teaching him what OGV meant. I'd just be like, oh my gosh, my OGV is this, or I need this much in my OGV. And he'd be like, what's OGV? And I'd be like, how do you not know what OGV is? And so like, I just assumed that he would learn, which is not good to assume, right? Like, I shouldn't have assumed anything. And then once he came home from his teaching job to help me, I really assumed like he would totally just jump in and like do all the stuff that I didn't want to do, which wasn't fair to him. And it wasn't a realistic expectation on my part. So I love that I'm seeing spouses, boyfriends, husbands on this call in the speaker view. And even for like guys that are just starting this business, it's totally different for you because guys operate differently than women. Women are super relational. And so I think for a guy doing this business, whether you have a spouse doing it, it's definitely a different animal that we're dealing with in terms of building this business. But I wish, especially for like our partnership and marriage, I wish that I would have encouraged him to learn more about the business side earlier on instead of waiting for him to come home and then expecting him to know everything. Because that was totally unfair for me to put that on him and made him feel like crap.
Yeah, pretty much. No, yeah, I mean, I came home about 3 years now. I remember coming home, I had my secure job teaching. I loved it. I was just super stoked about it. I came home and I was like, I'm going to be the errand boy, doing mailings and doing that kind of stuff. I lost my identity pretty much. I went into depression for like a year. I was like, what am I doing? I didn't know anything about the business per se. She'd be like, why do you know this? I'm like, I don't know. So
and I'm like, haven't you been reading the posts that are in the distillery? How do you not know this?
Yeah, I mean, and I learned about color personalities, about how she's red and I'm blue.
He's
so
blue.
So I'm like, who did he know? And she's like, what? I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, yeah, it done. And he's like, squirrel. I'm like, what? Shiny object.
Yeah, so it was definitely tough. I mean, definitely one big advice thing is, if you're a husband or a wife jumping in with a spouse that's doing the business, start early on, learn early on, because it can only take your business that much better, that much higher. That was definitely a regret for me. Is I was supportive and I was like, this is great. I was using oil as my classroom, that kind of stuff, but I didn't really see the vision until I got home and went through, dealt with some stuff and got through some stuff. And she had the vision from day one. And I wish I would have been involved in that vision, or accepted that vision right away, because I didn't right away. But now I kick myself for it. But now, I'm totally 100% in, and I love it. So take that vision. Don't be an obstacle for your spouse or significant other. Don't get in their way. Just try to work with them, find out what your strengths are, or what you can contribute to this business, and run with that. Communicate. That's another big thing with us, is communication. We assumed a lot without really talking it out. So that's one thing we work on a lot, is actually talking it out and where we're coming from. So what do you guys think, Colin?
I was just going to piggyback on something you said too, because like with Colin coming home in January, I was super excited, but I also had, I was nervous because it was going to change the whole dynamic of, how I run my business, how we do things, our marriage and everything. But I also think, like, looking back on like our journey for Colin, and I'll let him speak in a second, but like I remember when it really totally clicked for him was when we hit silver. And he started to see those paychecks coming in, because we were literally drowning in debt and like just had no money. And he was working his butt off trying to support us. So, once he saw like that vision again, and it took, getting to silver, but it didn't have to take that long. Maybe I should have been a little more upfront, like Annie said, with the whole residual income and showing him the potential. But I think it's just so amazing where we're at now, because there are so many men that are plugged into this business and that are successful on their own, not just, with their partner. And it's just, there are so many resources that are available now for men, different men's groups where they can get in there and they can see the community and the friendships that these guys have with each other. Because, just like looking at the men on this call, like Colin's friends are on this call right now. And that's so,
Hi, guys.
That's so cool for them to be able to start building their own relationships, because like a huge part for everyone is like, we always talk about the community and, how it's so much more than oils. And it's, friends that become like family, and, having that, for me, that going into that community was huge, 3 years ago. So I think that's really important to, get the guys and the spouses plugged into the different resources that are available, so they can start, pretty much right away. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, I mean, I didn't go through any sort of a depression. At least I haven't gotten to that point yet of trying to find me. I'm mostly trying to stay out of her way, not in a, I don't want to screw up something that she's built. It took her 3 years to build this. I'm not going to come home and tell her like, all right, well, now I think we should start doing things this way, and I bet you we could get to the next rank. Like, she knows the things that she needs to do. I'm taking this time now to help her any way I can to jump in and free up her time more than I used to. I was always coming home and I would finish up dinner. I would do the kids at bedtime, and, I would bring them out of the house and play with them, because she was not stuck, but she was with them all day long while I was at work. Now I'm actually trying to take this time right now to find me, to find out what I actually really want to do with my life and in this one life that we have. So with the income that we make now, with the time freedom that we have now, I mean, it's really sky's the limit. So if a guy, if you're trying to talk to the men about, what do you think of me doing the oils right now? Like, actually ask them, like, what would me doing oils help us with? Would it help us with bills? Would it help us with a vacation? Would it help? Like, because I was working at a beer store at night. I was teaching DUI classes on the weekend. I was driving dead bodies in the middle of the night for a crematorium. Like, we had zero money. And once that silver paycheck came around, I started noticing I didn't have to work this weekend at the beer store. I quit the job driving bodies at night. Like, I felt like the weight of the world coming off of my shoulders. So,
and that goes back to communication, like what they were just saying.
Yeah.
It's their business, it's their life just as much as it is yours. So, coming together and working together, I mean, communication is just a huge piece in relationships, in any relationship. So no different in this business.
Chris, you've been home for about a year. I want to talk about your story too.
Yeah, I've actually been home for 2 years.
Wow.
Just 2 years.
Already? Time flies.
Yeah, May. Yeah, I kind of wish, like everyone said, that I started getting involved earlier on. But it's hard for guys because most of the time they are away during the day. They have that day job. They're coming home at 5, 6 p.m., in some cases even later. They worked all day. The last thing they want to do is go on Facebook and surf through a group or read a desk reference about frankincense and what it's good for. So it wasn't until we got serious about me leaving my job, then I started actually doing some research, and I actually spent most of the day at my job doing oil stuff. So I'd go into the group and I'd do the posts and I'd approve posts and things like that, because I knew that it was a reality at that point. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know.
You transitioned nicely.
Yeah, I did.
He was always a good helper.
Like Scott said, I kind of found what I was good at, and I just ran with it. For me, my work was never my identity, so I didn't feel like, oh, I'm losing the man that I am when I'm coming home to work with my wife. I wasn't the guy that was like, oh, I got to grind and grind and grind and move up in this company and bust my butt to maybe get, $100,000 a year. I just wasn't that type of person. I was kind of happy where I was. I would get bumped up every once in a while and I'd be like, this is cool. I can do this. But, for me, my job never defined the man that I am. So
you didn't really love your job.
Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't
I wasn't in love with my job like some people are.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy transition for me to come home and find what I was good at and kind of take some things off of her plate, some things that she didn't want to do. And, I still have a lot to learn. I don't want to say I'm perfect or I know everything about the business because I don't know a lot. I know some. I know enough to help her and I know enough to help our team. But, I'm always asking her questions every single day. And I'm a very hands-on learner. So this business is tough because sometimes I'm not the one that's in the group and doing posts or doing videos. I'm kind of in the background helping with something else. So I'm not quickly learning things like I would at another job. But
I think you know a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
I think he's selling himself quite short.
I'm getting there.
He knows.
I mean, I can vouch for, Chris and Colin and Lucas. All of us use products too. That's another big thing, being a product of the product, right? I mean, all of us have our arsenal of stuff we use daily. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, right?
Absolutely right.
You're not on.
You're absolutely right. And this is like a work uniform for me. Every day I'm sporting Young Living gear. I'm talking to people. I'm out there.
He's so much more he's so much more outgoing. I shouldn't say that. He's very outgoing. Not that I'm not, but he'll just spark up a conversation. So I find that now that he's home, I'm like, not that I use him as a crutch, but I'm always like, go ahead, you do it. But it's cool because I don't know if you know Colin, his personality is just, it's great. And he's funny and people just flock to him.
Don't shake your head no, Frankie.
I don't want your head to float away. But, he is so hands-on. So it's really cool once they start using the products, just you have to think back, it was a lifestyle change for everyone. And I try to put myself into other people's shoes. Cause right now I'm trying to make a lifestyle change with my diet and it's really hard. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what people think when they want to start using Young Living. It's a lifestyle change. And for us, it's so easy right now because we want to change. We want to use the product. So it just comes second nature and we want to do it. But, they also have to want to do it too. So I think, getting the products in their hands that are, they will use, that they'll be more apt to go to. So that was also big when we first started. When we got our kit, I remember using Pandaway on him at first. And, he was a little hesitant at first, what is this? This is a little weird. But never always supported the idea of it. And then, slowly but surely I'd see him grab an oil and use it for something and I would get all giddy. But then, as we were able to start adding more things to our ER order every month, it would be different things that I knew that, would, tailor towards his needs. So that was also really important too, just, getting the products that they're going to use that they can just easily grab for, that are easy to make the transition versus just the things that maybe you want on your ER too.
Lucas,
I know you're still actively working. So let's hear from you.
Right there.
There we go. All right. I had to figure out how to mute. Yeah, so I'm still working right now. I'll be out in March, so a few more months to go. We've been kind of finding my identity for the past, year and a half?
I don't know. It's your identity, I'm guessing.
Oh, I'm finding it. So, I like to include her in everything. But, yeah, sure, I'm figuring out how to find what I'm good at, how to help her, because I felt like I was almost lost in the beginning, but I was never not supportive. I would never say anything to you about, don't do this, you're wasting money. I'm the type of person that sits in the background, what she's doing, so I can kind of catch on and learn because I'm not like a reading type person in a way. I'm more hands-on, but so I feel like I'm getting that more like the Dex reference kind of stuff. Like she has a question about a blend, I kind of come up with like something, or if in my guys group I'll put a blend out there like, you know, every few days, kind of help the guys out. But
I think it's really cool though to hear like everybody's perspective of like when you guys came home, because we're not there yet. I mean, we have a contract that we have to like fulfill. So in March he will be coming home, and I think it's just so cool to like watch you guys and know you guys in real life, and like, you know, see how happy you guys are at home, and see your husbands kind of take over that side, because we've been doing the same thing. Not the same thing. I mean, it's amazing, but we've been, you know, trying to work this dynamic out for almost 5 years now, 5 years in October. And so it's going to be really cool to see how his role, you know, shifts, and how it'll help our team and get us like, you know, crowned and everything.
absolutely.
I think it's really cool though. Hopefully soon. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Cool. March is not that far away.
No,
No, it's
I don't want to talk about it. I'm sweating thinking about it.
Exciting stuff.
Okay, so Melanie asked, do you have any advice when the growth is slower than you'd like and your spouse doesn't see the vision?
Well, I mean, if when you say grow slower than you like, of course, you know, we want everything to be fast and furious, and you know, you want to speed through the ranks and stuff. But as far as the vision, you know, what does he not see? I mean, is he? It's the same dollar signs. Is he? You know, is he worried about? Does he even use the product? Is he willing to share about things? You know, that could be kind of a loaded question. So, could be a little more specific, Melanie.
Sure. Yeah, he uses the products. He sees the value in our family using the products, but he doesn't always see that it's actually possible for me to grow my own organization and actually get real residual income. I mean, he even knows Colin personally from they used to work together, and he still doesn't feel like diamonds are real people. So I have a hard time like just so sometimes it can cause challenges, even though I can communicate like how he can support me and what I would like to see in that. But I just sometimes when I look at other leaders, it's hard to see how it's possible to continue to have support when the rank ups and the checks are not as large and as quick as we've seen other leaders achieve.
I mean, you look at in general. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's a long-term game. You know, it's. I mean, for us anyway. I'm sure a lot of people in this call it's the same thing. It's, you know, you got to think long-term, and there's going to be times or seasons where it's going to be fast and furious, and there's going to be times where it's not going to be fast and furious. But again, with the vision, if you look at, you know, again with the residual income, you look at the long-term and what you can achieve by sticking with it and be consistent. I mean, that's the vision. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So what I was going to say there is probably the one big problem, and not just with your husband, Melanie, is probably people's, you know, they have the sheet in front of them. They see from, you know, a distributor all the way to an RCD what the income is. So it's smack dab in front of them. And they want that money, and they want to know, why is it not coming? Like, why haven't you ranked up already? Why hasn't this? Why hasn't this? Long-term game, just like Scott said. I mean, nobody comes into their job and automatically thinks that, you know, within the next 3 to 5 years, you know, I'm going to be the president of the company now. That's just not how life works. You got to hustle your ass off, and you got to get to that point. And it's only you that can be really responsible for that. You got to, you know, you're doing all the right stuff, Melanie. You know, there has to be that synergy and that buzz, and more people need to come on. I mean, there's times where we feel like enrollment's flat, and then all of a sudden a couple enrollments will come through, and you're like, oh, wow, like, where did that come from? And then, you know, you feel like things are in a lull again, but there's always going to be peaks and valleys with everything. And it's not just going to happen overnight.
And guys are stubborn, right? Like, we can admit that, and I'm sure our wives will too. So it's kind of hard to convince them sometimes not only to use the products, but this is actually a legitimate business with real income, real people, real checks, real product. So I guess it kind of depends on the personality of the person as to what makes it real for them. Is it the money? Is it the freedom, where might not have to work a second job like Colin was saying. And even if you're growing slowly, there is that residual income. You're still getting your paychecks every month. You're still getting that extra couple $100 or more. If you're stuck at silver for a few months, big deal. You're stuck at silver. You still have a silver income. You're still going to have that residual income. And there's only growth after that. Annie had a really good quote one time in a video, and I just happened to be like walking through and picked it up. And she said, even if you hit 1 rank a year, with social media, that's like unheard of. I mean, people hit 2, 3, 4 ranks in a year, sometimes even more. But if you hit 1 rank a year, in 9 years, you'll be a millionaire. You'll be an RCD, you'll be a millionaire. You can retire your husband, you can both work from home. You can have the freedom to do the things that you want to do in your life. Name me any other job where 9 years puts you at the top of a company, puts you at that CEO position, like Colin was saying, puts you making that kind of money. It just doesn't exist.
I think people, when they have trouble seeing the vision too, I think that they sometimes don't understand our business model. They don't understand how it works, and they still think like pyramid scheme, and they just don't understand it. And I think once you understand the business model, it makes way more sense and opens up like a whole new world of understanding how it absolutely 100% is possible. And in reality, like Chris was saying, is way more realistic than most people ever becoming the CEO of a company and becoming a millionaire. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah. I think, has he watched Ryan Hayes's video, the residual income video? Has he read GoPro by Eric Worre? That one really breaks down why network marketing is really the way of the future in terms of real freedom, financial and time freedom. I think it's important for you, Melanie, to figure out like what is the blockage for him, and then find ways to help give him the information and expose him to the information that will help break down his specific blockages. Because if it's, this business model is just a pyramid scheme, then like, okay, give him these things. If it's like, well, you've been executive for, 3 years. Well, okay, and what's the problem with that? Because an executive income is more than $100K in a 401k by the time we retire, per Ryan's video, So finding out the specific part of like what he doesn't see in the vision would be my challenge to you, because that will help which direction. And maybe even just having him watch this video, just say like, I brought up our situation because I'm struggling right now with my business and feeling supported by you, and I brought it up in this video. I'd love for you to watch like what these diamonds and up said. There's us, Annie, Taylor, and Frankie. Like, we're diamonds and up. That's there's multi-million dollars right there, not even including all of the other ranks that we've got here, right? So that's what I would do. Get them to convention, right? Get them to the farm so that he can see what makes our company so much different than any other oil company. So he can feel the energy of, they say we're going to have 50,000 people this year at convention, of 50,000 people that all have the same vision. I know, like, Scott didn't go to convention with me till my second year, when I walked till my third year, till I walked for like Royal, right?
The third
I
year.
went to one convention,
Double walked, yeah.
and then the second convention I brought him, and he was like a fish out of water, because like all of a sudden now he's like diamond Royal Crown diamond, and he's, you know, getting the like VIP treatment, and he's like, what the heck is this? Like, he had no clue what the heck was going on, because he's like, what? You know, he'd never been. But if he had gone the year before, he would have seen, experienced some other things that would have helped him see the steps up. But, you know, I've said that same quote as Annie, like, if it takes you 9 years, who cares? Like, if it takes you 18 years, 2 years of rank, like, who gives a crap if it takes you 18 years? What if you never even get to Royal Crown, but you get to gold or platinum? Like, that's $5,000 a month that you could be earning residual income every month. That's not, you know, you don't earn money while you're sleeping. You don't earn money when you're on vacation usually. But with this kind of a business, you can. And so, you know, not everyone's going to have the goal of hitting the top rank. But, you know, even if it takes you 18 years to get to a higher rank, a mid-level to higher rank, like, it's way more worth it than any other job.
Yeah, get them plugged in too. I mean, we all have groups. I have the group for our whole downline called the Ellis. Chris has a group, Modern Men. Sounds like Lucas has a group as well. I mean, there's so many men's groups out there now that, you know, so you can see like guys supporting other guys and talking oils and stuff. You know, it's showing that's a lifestyle. It's not just some hobby, as she said. So get them plugged in. I'll be happy to add them to our group. I'm sure Chris and, you know, those guys would as well. So that's something else to look into too, Melanie.
I think too, it just like, it goes back to that communication piece, you know, because I was like with what Melanie was saying, then some of the other things, other comments over here, you know, just sitting down and having maybe that hard conversation with your spouse, like this, you know, letting them know this is important to me. You know, this is, I see the vision and I understand that maybe right now you don't, but like, let's work on this together so we can get to a place where, you know, you understand where I'm coming from a little bit. They might not, you know, fully understand, and that's okay. You know, like I said, it took Colin kind of like the silver income check was definitely a bonus, but then like Carol and Scott were just saying, like going to events, the first GLC 2 years ago, like literally changed the game for Colin. He got to meet people face to face and see that they were real people, normal people. You know, everyone wakes up and puts their pants on every single day. You know, like they're not these mythical creatures. So that was really big. And then, you know, going to convention that first year, that was huge, because that convention shows you that it's so much bigger than this Zoom call and our, you know, personal groups, our upline groups. Like it's everywhere. It's worldwide. And I think men seeing that shows that there is stability in the company. You know, when you hear corporate talk at convention, all of those things I feel like just kind of strike chords. You know, guys want that stability. They want to know that, okay, well, you know, you're saying this vision, but is it going to be gone in a year? Like, is this your flavor of the week? So I know, like, for a lot of people, that's a struggle. And
if you can somehow get your spouse, one, get yourselves to convention, two, get your spouse to convention. But if you can't get your spouse to convention, I know the tickets and everything are done for this year. Save up part of your paychecks right now. Get your butts to convention next year. Because like she just said, this company is something way better and totally different than you actually envision it in your head. It is so massive. There's such energy in the room. I don't know. I don't know how to explain what this company can do, from being on the farm to just the community of the people that it's built and the people that we've met. But if you can, not selfishly, but do something selfish for yourself right now and say, to get myself into the next hemisphere of whatever I want to do, I'm going to make sure my butt is at convention next year. And you're going to come home with a new energy and something that you've never even realized that you had inside of you.
And GoPro was big. You loved that.
GoPro was big, and the 4-Year Career also. Those are 2 great books.
Mm-hmm. Are you
Yeah,
guys
convention-
taking any classes? Oh, Lucas, were you going to say something, or somebody?
that was me. Convention did it for me too. I know everyone has said that, but convention was a game changer for me. And someone had a question earlier that said, did our husbands not think it was real until silver? And I think we were silver or gold when I went to our first convention. I knew it was real before then. I was on board before then, but like someone just said, I didn't know the enormity of the company and what was going on outside our little circle in Pennsylvania. So just seeing that, like 30,000 people, Gary coming in on a zip line and arm wrestling Stevie, was like, what is going on? But, once I saw just everyone on the same page at convention, everyone wanting to learn more and everyone wanting to grow within their business, seeing how the company operates, seeing the products that they put out, for me, that was like, wow. We got home and I think I said to Annie, like, all right, what do we need to do? Because I'm on board. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, another thing to point out too is, I mean, the company is, it's a guy, if I have this guy point of view, company is founded by a man named Gary Young. Some of our brand ambassadors are gold medal Olympic athletes. I mean, NFL football players, baseball players. I mean, you name it. Guys are top level in whatever careers they're in that are using oils as their lifestyle. And that's another thing to add to it as well.
Yeah. I think there's a comment, interesting that a company created by a man and men hesitate. Yeah, because I think it's a weird business model, right? I think for all of us, we are in an employee mindset, and that's talked about in Eric Worre's GoPro book, is like we're trained when we go to school to be in an employee mindset, to take the test, listen to the teacher, sit when you're told to sit, go to the bathroom when you're supposed to go to the bathroom, then we graduate out of school and then we go and get a job and do the same thing, right? Someone tells us what to do, when we can take our vacation, when we're allowed to have lunch, when we're allowed to leave, and we always have to report to someone. And we get kind of like brainwashed into thinking like that's normal and that's safe, but that's living someone else's dream. That's working really hard to pay for that CEO's awesome life. And maybe you're getting a little bit in a 401k that's matched, but probably not. I mean, like, I don't know that many jobs nowadays that have a 401k. So like, it's a total mind shift in terms of thinking that this business model is legit. And so it definitely it's a process. And I think for men, that can be hard to grasp because men tend to be like the breadwinners of the family and are used to like clocking in and clocking out and getting their check and knowing like having that stability of having that check. And then this business is totally different, right? So it is strange that a company created by a man doesn't have more men leaders and business builders. But I think now that we've got spouse accounts, like the sky's the limit, right? Because you can build under yourself and build under your spouse and get 2 incomes. And a guy building this business that's not, connected to a spouse or, a girlfriend or whatever, it's a completely untapped market because we've been focusing on moms and women, and there's so much opportunity for guys. Just like Scott said, we've got the brand ambassadors that are right there with testimonials of using the products. Young Living's just not marketing it well. So it's up to you guys that are now jumping in and wanting to do the business to figure out how you're going to market to your warm market of your guys. But somebody asked if the guys teach classes. So
Yeah, so like with my group, there was like we do meetups every couple months, and we usually do a class. Like the last one I think we did was the cologne making. I think it was where we actually made cologne. Got to take home a couple bottles of cologne that they made. So yeah, so we have different themes each time we meet up. I know Chris does stuff as well. Why don't you tell what you do, Chris, too?
I do some classes, but it's mostly for our team in our group. Haven't really done a bunch in my men's group, but like Scott said, I also do meetups. I did a cologne making party, had some guys over to the house, got Melissa Pepping's book, went through and made some recipes. So that was really cool. And yeah, I mean, I do try to share on my personal Facebook page sometimes if I have something that I feel like is going to be like helpful to people in a sense. But yeah, I would say most of my classes are done just for our team.
Yeah, I mean, I keep mine open. It's most of the guys on my team, but I always say, hey, you're welcome to invite anybody. So usually there's always a couple people there that aren't in oils at all that somebody brought with them, and they end up either buying a kit or they talk to their wife and the wife buys a kit for them, whatever. But yeah, I mean, we've had success for just doing our little workshop meetups. So, but I don't do classes all the time, but whenever we do a meetup, it's always around a theme that something's going to be taught.
So Casey Haynes, you said we're not Diamond, but my husband was a total naysayer when we started, and now he's totally on board. Do you guys want to share what switched for you guys?
Yeah, it definitely took till probably silver. I was a complete naysayer. We had tried a different MLM before Young Living, and it was, I wouldn't say it was a flop. It was just, I looked at that completely. I had a negative mindset toward that. And then coming into Young Living, I was like, here we go again. But once we hit silver and once that residual income started coming in, I was like, this is pretty legit. And like you said earlier, convention really got me on the go. So I also recommend getting to convention. It's a good time. You'll meet a lot of people. So anything to add?
No, I mean, I think for a lot for me, and I like a challenge, and when we're, I don't want to say like when we're at odds, like I will show you wrong. And so for me, it was like finding, I don't know, somebody said earlier, the secret sauce. And I would find little ways to like figure out how he would use oils. And I remember him coming down one night and was like, where's the lavender? I can't sleep without it. And I like died laughing on the couch because I knew like I got him. So for me, like it was trying to make sure he was educated, but he had to be educated on his own terms. And it kind of didn't need to be my idea.
I'm a see it to believe it type of person. So once the oils actually started working, I was on board with the oils. Yeah. Once I went to convention, I was on board with the company. Once I saw the silver checks, I was completely on board with the business. And naturally, I'm doing the business now too because I see what's there. I see Colin at home, Chris, all the other guys. Like this company's legit, and it might take guys a little while to hop on board, but they will get there. Like just you might have to have some patience, but yes, we're stubborn. Someone said that earlier. I think Chris did. They'll get there.
All right, Colette asked, do you have more to say?
Well, no, somebody just said, was it difficult convincing your guy to attend convention? I think at first he was kind of like, I don't really want to go like where there's a bunch of women, like, are you sure you don't want to go yourself? And I was like, oh my God, it's vacation in Utah. Let's go and we'll sightsee and we'll go to brew houses and we'll do all of these things. And that's kind of like, it's all about perspective. And so if there's a wall up, you have to find a way around the wall. And that goes with anything in this business. There's always going to be walls up. So you have to find a way around it. And in this case, it was like making it marketable. Like, really, what dude wants to stand with 30,000 women? Not very, I mean, well, yeah. Okay. But I had to make it like about dudes too, you know.
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah, and I think now Young Living's definitely more aware of the guy factor, and so the classes, I mean, they're for anyone. Obviously last year they had like a mom panel, but I mean, besides that, everything was for anybody building the business. Colette asked, where did that go? Colette asked, how do you structure your time schedules with Young Living work and personal life?
I will answer that, I guess. I think it's definitely going to be different for everybody and based on their personality type. I like fly by the seat of my pants, and I do some stuff Young Living when I'm on a kick, and then I do some stuff like personal life when I need to do personal life stuff. But I think that's the beauty of this business. If I was working a 40-hour-a-week job, or when I was working 32 hours at the salon, like I was out of the house working, you know, a full-time job and trying to do Young Living on the side. So like, I think you just have to fit it in however works best for you. Some people are going to be really structured, some aren't. But the bottom line is that we can do this anywhere in pockets of our time. And like right now I'm home and I do it from home. So sometimes like I'm with Chris and we're at lunch and we're both on our phones working at lunch. And some people might look at that and be like, look at that weird couple. Do they hate each other? What's happening? But we know that we spend all our time together. So we are working. Same thing with the kids. When I'm at the park and my kids are playing, I might be on my phone. And guess what? That doesn't make me a bad mom. I'm a mom that gets to stay home and be present with my kids 24/7. And guess what, kids? Sometimes mommy has to work. And that might mean that we're on the playground at noon on a Thursday and I'm working while I'm keeping an eye on you. But I think it's just, I don't know if there's ever a balance. I think it's just finding like a nice harmony in your life. I think the balance is a little overrated.
And we were really good with the kids with that, communicating with them.
Yes.
Like, especially Gray, because he's a little bit older, he can understand. You know, when this whole thing started coming into play with me coming home and Annie being home most of the time, we would tell him like, okay, Gray, you know, we need to set aside 15 minutes. We need to set aside a half an hour. Mommy's going to go work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of that we can stay home with you all the time. So when this half an hour is done, we can go back to playing, or we can go to the park, or we can go watch a movie, you know, whatever it is. We were straightforward with him right away, so he kind of understands, you know, sometimes mommy needs to go upstairs for half an hour.
And we did that when I was working full-time too. When I was working full-time, which I worked up until Crown Diamond full-time at the salon, we did that with him too. Like, it was like, dude, I gotta work, because guess what? That's why we're gonna get to go on vacation for a week next month. So this is how mommy works. Do you want to help me stamp envelopes? And he did. Like, we involved them a lot.
That's good. Thank you. I want to just clarify real quick. Like, I think my problem is not fitting Young Living into my personal life. It's kind of like fitting my personal life into Young Living, because I'm used to working like 60 to 80 hours a week, like for my full-time job. So I'm kind of, as I'm transitioning out of that job into this job, it's like I'm just taking those 60 to 80 hours and just like applying them elsewhere, instead of like realizing I'm doing this because I want to spend more time with my kids, and like trying to figure out how to do that, because for me there's just so much to do with Young Living. It's like overwhelming because there's so much I could be doing. you know.
I think, Colette, like for you, like how many years did you work full time?
15.
Like how many?
15.
Okay, so 15 years of that being your everyday, that's your normal right now. So it's just like, it's not going to change overnight. And the same thing, like when he came home, like even though he was home, like he used to always have to check emails and there would be calls and he would have to work on presentations at night. And then when he came home, it was like, he didn't know what to do sometimes. Like, I feel like I need to be checking my phone. And when we went on vacation, like right after he came home, it was like so weird because I don't even think he turned his phone on all week. And it was just, he didn't know what to, like, it was just weird for him. So it's definitely going to take time. And I find that like when I went through with my life coach last summer, that was a big thing for me, like being able to be present in what I was doing in that moment. And so what she had me do was like put Post-its around my house that said right here, right now. So whatever I was focusing on or whatever I was doing in that moment, I was right there right now. So if it's like, if you know, you have a new baby and you have your son. So if it's the time that you want to spend with them, then like put your phone on airplane mode and leave it upstairs and just don't pick it up, because you just like, you can't get this time back with your kids. And you're so blessed that now you're able to be home with them. And again, it's okay for them to see you working, but like you don't have to anymore dedicate your entire life, you know, to work, because you worked really hard to get to this point too. You know, and like Chris and Annie just said, like we had the conversation with the kids tonight, like we had to kind of do like a shorter bedtime. And we said to them, you know, we can't do all the books and the, you know, well, Dylan will drag bedtime out for 4 hours, but we can't do all that tonight because like, you know, because mommy and daddy are home with you and daddy doesn't have to go to work anymore. Like this meeting that we have on the computer, this is our job now, you know.
But I also think you need to set a good example with the kids to show them that there is work to this. Like we can't have all of our kids growing up here thinking that like we all just hang out all day and like go out to lunch and like go on vacations and money just appears every month and we just do all these things. Like they need to see that there is a process here that you need to follow, or, you know, you're going to end up being at home with us for the rest of your life.
No, I agree. Like, I do think it's important, and I don't regret, you know, building the way I did when, you know, the girls were little and I was at home. There were days when they didn't get out of their pajamas all day long because I was working all day long. And like,
and you didn't.
What?
And you didn't get that.
I still don't. But I don't, like, that's okay with me, you know, because it gave us the freedom that we have now. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with your kids seeing you work and on your phone. And if they have to be occupied doing something else for a period of time, like the freedoms that they're going to get, you know, down the road and the opportunities that they're going to have, well, they just don't happen. And, you know, outside of this life.
I just want to add to that because Colette is a dear friend of mine, and I enrolled her, and I just love her so much. And everything Taylor just said, hey, we missed you guys already. Everything that Taylor just said, I completely agree with Colette. And I'm just like, I just want to say, like, personally, I'm just really excited for you because I know you and I know how hard you've worked for this. And I'm so excited for this next phase of your life with your family in Charleston. And I just know that you are going to be, I have no doubt that you will absolutely be a royal crown diamond one day. But I do hope, my hope for you is that you are present and you see that you don't have to work as hard as you were working, and that you deserve everything that's coming to you because you deserve it so much. And you're so loved and so worthy of it. And we just miss you. And I just have to say that.
Yeah, I think, Colette, I'm red, and I know that you're red. And so it gets super easy to just get focused on work. Like, I love it. It's so rewarding. It gives me energy. It gives me like a high almost, like I can get addicted to it. And like checking the computer, checking my phone can be like an every like 5-second thing, right? But my coaching with Brandon Barber has helped me see that like that's not healthy for me. And I have lived my life achieving to be happy. And what he's really wanting me to do is to learn to happily achieve. So to enjoy the process And instead of always being goal focused of like, I got to get here and like focus and like just put the blinders on to like get me to the next rank or get me to this level of OGV or help my person like get to the next rank, like enjoy the process along the way, because otherwise you get to that goal, but then there's going to be another goal right after that, right? Like the goals are never ending. So instead of like, okay, I got to get to crown or I have to get to royal crown. Well, like once you get there, you think like, oh yay, like life will be peachy and I can just like drop off the face of the earth. Well, no, like my personality, once I hit royal crown, then I was like, now I have to get everybody to royal crown. So it was like, you know, in my head, it was just get to royal crown. But then when I got there, it wasn't just that. And so it's like, we can get sucked into that cycle of like always achieving to be happy, thinking like the next thing, the next goal, the work that I'm going to put in, the next hours that I'm going to put in are going to help me get to the next phase. And yeah, that's totally true. And it's what you need to do, but also be mindful that like, are you just focused on achieving the goal versus happily achieving along the way? And self-care is not something for me as a red that I would typically do, right? And so like scheduling in exercise, like I don't like to exercise, but I know that it's good for my health. And I know like going and getting like foot reflexology or a massage every once in a while, like doing those kind of self-care things. Like I'm reading a fictional book right now, and I sat on the couch yesterday and read it for, I don't know, 3 hours, which I would never ever do. Like it's something like unheard of for me, but like I'm really in the book and involved in the book and I'm loving it. And so I was like, what the heck? It's the weekend. I'm going to read this book.
Now I'm drinking water out of crystal infused water here. I mean, seriously?
What is this like?
What is this like?
I was going to really quickly, there was one question up here that I wanted to quickly ask. I know we're running low on time. But if the guys are running their own accounts or if the wives are just stacking under them, I think for us, like it's a lot of both. And because we run this business as a couple, like it's not my business and his business, like it's our business. So it's a lot of both. Chris has enrolled more people than I have in the past month. And then that actually fits into the question below where someone says, I don't have much of a friend circle. Brittany said she doesn't have a friend circle. She's not trying to consume her life around social media. Like Chris is really good at just filling a need for someone. Like he sold a kit to our like contractor at our house because his allergies were bothering him. So Chris went, got my roller out of my purse and handed it to him and was like, here you go, just put this on. Like so simple. Like our caseworker for our foster daughter was over today and I could take the cake on this one, but same thing. Her nose, you know, her pollen, the seasonal was bothering her. And I was like, oh, I'm like, I can help you here. Let me make you a roller before you leave. I made her a tiny roller, handed her our handbook. And I was like, here we go. I didn't try to sell or anything. I didn't go, oh, and did you know all about Young Living Essential Oils? And did you know about the starter kit? Blah, blah, blah. No, I literally just saw a need and I filled it. And he's really good at that. Like he's so good about seeing someone complain about something and he just shows up and just gives them a sample, whatever. And he sold so many kits because people then come back to him and follow up and he follows up. And yeah, so then do I sometimes stack under him? Sure. Just like I would anywhere else I needed to. And does he enroll his own people? Yes, he does. But sometimes he needs help too on knowing where to stack them. He's like learning. We do it together. So what?
Yeah, I think it's super important to look at it as it's an hour thing. I know Carol from day one's always said it's an hour thing. And when I first came home, I thought it was her thing, you know, because she had built this diamond business by the time I came home. And I was like, oh, she did this and this. But no, it's if you look at it, it's an hour business. I think that's super, super important.
Yeah, I don't think it's hard to convince your guy to go to a convention if you are able to show him the vision of what you hope for your business and what you hope for your family, and just letting him know, like, going to convention is part of the deal. You have to go to the farm so that you can see the process. You need to go to the classes and learn from other leaders. Somebody's phone is on and I can't mute it. Anyhow, but I think if you just are really straightforward about, like, I want you to be part of my business, and you going to convention with me is as important as me getting to the next rank. Can somebody mute if you're not already muted? Thanks. Okay, what? Somebody had asked where to start with their husband. My husband's super supportive, but I'm not sure how he can help me at this point. So, Eric, is it Eric Walton or was it Brandon that had me write down like all the things? Oh, it was Brandon Barber.
Yeah.
He had me write down, I have an app called AnyList. And so every task that I did, business related, I would put it on the AnyList. And then I was able to look at that and say, like, okay, this is what I would give to you. And then he was like, no, I'm taking these, but I'm not taking these. And then we gave the other ones to the assistant that we have, which is his sister. But I think breaking it down for me that way, task related, like what are all the things I do every day, every week, every month, and then sharing it with him and saying, like, okay, well, what's in your wheelhouse? What do you want to take on? And then that way he can figure out, like, he can have a tangible list of like what opportunities are available for him to jump in and either partner with you or take off your plate. Taylor or Colin or Chris, do you have a different way of how you guys?
No, but I was telling Taylor, one of the things that she actually did that really helped me, and I don't know if this was pre or post the last global leadership cruise, but somebody was talking about like oily tools. And I'm like, what is oily tools? So she's like, oh, here, we'll put it on your phone. And it was like, well, where the hell has this thing been for the past year? Like, why didn't I know? And it was like, I could follow the paycheck then. I saw how much was coming. And then I would even hit her up when I was at work, because then I started going into the VO and I was watching, you know, the last 5 days of every month and would be like, yo, you know, so-and-so needs like another, you know, if their leg goes, you know, here another $200 or $1,000, like, you know, they could rank up. And then it wasn't as much on her that she had to kind of explain stuff to me. Like, I could kind of figure it out myself, but seeing that whole trail and then seeing what actual pieces of the puzzle make that paycheck come up and up and up and up, it just was like a light bulb moment for me.
So I kind of want to go back to the group thing. If your husband or boyfriend is on Facebook, there's a group called EEC, essentially Equip Challenge, and it's only for men. It's not team specific, so anyone can join who's in Young Living. And it's just all guys stuff. It's guys talking about oils. It's guys talking about the business. It's guys talking about personal stuff. It's guys talking about anything you can imagine in this group. And, you know, I think earlier we talked about guys seeing that it's real and seeing that there's other men out there doing it. I know that was big for me. And this group is so supportive. It doesn't matter who you are, what rank you are, where you live. Everyone is so supportive. Everyone is genuine. You're going to get the feedback that you need. You know, he can hop in and ask a stupid question. No one's going to be like, oh, that's a stupid question. They're going to give you the answer that you're looking for or not looking for, but it might actually put things into perspective for you. But it's a great group. And
they do two events a year too. Jamie's asking about events. They do 2 a year too as well, all across the country. So maybe that's something that you're your hubby or your boyfriend, I'm not sure, you asked about, can get plugged into as well. Chris and I and Colin, Lucas, I think we're all in it. So it's a great group.
Yeah, Young Living has this touring event called On the Grow. I think it's on their training and education page. They're coming to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They're going to Minneapolis, and they're going somewhere else in the next couple of months. And so it's a Young Living corporate event. They come and do some education about the seed to seal process, about product education. They have product there for sale. So it can give you kind of a little bit of a feel of what Young Living's all about. But that would be a good guys activity. Let's see, what else? Anything else? I think that's it. Any other last minute questions or comments?
It's late for you guys on the East Coast.
Yeah, comments from you guys that are on the call.
I think rallies, to add to that list too, the quarterly are great to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And Diamond Bound too, if you guys can make that.
Oh yeah.
That's in Nashville, so you don't really have to twist their leg to go.
Yeah, Diamond Bound. I think it's just diamondbound.com is an event that Jordan Schrant, who's a Royal Crown, puts together, and that's in Nashville in October. Mid-October.
And one thing really quickly too, I know we're like running low on time. One of the fun things that we do, I'm super blue, so I have to keep it fun all the time. But I got him involved really packaging Happy Mail. Like we make date nights out of it. Our assistant, we don't have an assistant yet, actually. Ours is starting in August. So we kind of do everything ourselves. And so we'll make that a date night, and it's kind of fun. We'll talk about the business stuff and life and package up, letters, whatever it is. And that's kind of how you got really into helping me.
I think it's just a good way to start in general for a team, just to make it simple starting out. It doesn't have to be like diving in head first 100%, especially with guys, you want to bring them in kind of a little bit at the time, You don't want to scare them off. So I thought that was a perfect way about doing them. It's simple, easy. Can I put some in an envelope? Yep. Can I put a stamp on? Maybe not right, but I can put it on pretty good.
That's a good idea. Okay. Any other questions or comments from anybody else?
May I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Well, it's actually more of a statement kind of question. My biggest thing that kind of blocks me sometimes, my grandmother owned her own business and my mother currently owns her own business. And I see what it takes for them to do it. And as I'm going into this business, my mind just won't wrap around the fact of how they grew their business and me trying to grow my business as an MLM. Does that make sense? Like I see how they've done it. I saw their work and how they grew. And then here I am trying to go online and doing in-person events versus a nightclub and a childcare facility. So any help on that?
Yeah, well, I can see why you would have like a blockage, but I would encourage you to challenge that blockage, because those businesses aren't necessarily going to give you the residual income this business is. Those businesses require an owner to still oversee the manager or to oversee the employees, which can change on a constant basis. Whereas this, like, you have your downline, you get your leaders, you teach your leaders well, and then they do their thing, right? And so this job is going to give you a freedom, not just financial freedom, but time freedom, in a way that owning your own business, like a childcare business or a nightclub, is never going to give you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thanks so much, you guys, for joining us. I will get this up on YouTube and then put the link in the group, but it's also, hopefully it went live in Facebook as an actual post. So tag your peeps on it. And if you guys have any other questions that come up later, feel free to comment, and we will comment on the post in the distillery, and we'll answer.
Thank you, Taylor and
Thanks,
Colin,
everyone.
Annie, and Chris, and Lucas, and Frankie. Thanks, guys, for jumping on. And we appreciate everyone in here. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.